Welcome to the show. Geek Insider presents Into the Geekverse, the place to get an inside look at movies, comics, games, tech, and everything exciting going on in the Geekverse. Join Matthew Harris and David King as they take a deeper look at the good, the bad, and the downright terrible things our Geekverse has to offer. With live chats, geek news, special guests, and lots more. So sit back, relax, and join us for a peek into the Geekverse.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of Into the Geekverse. As you may have noticed, we got a new intro. We had Nikki Delgado put that together, and you can find her at Nikki, Nikki Delgado.com. And of course, I am your one of your hosts, Matthew Harris, and my co-host is
David King.
And folks, tonight, last week we talked about DC, or week before we talked about DC, but this week we're talking about Marvel. Marvel always has quite a bit going on. We all know that, the movies come out pretty regularly, but they're just going along that same route. There's a lot coming up, and if I can get my tongue untied,
released. And I can't believe I wasn't thinking about this. Moon Knight had just finished, and I just saw that he has officially made it into the Marvel Cinematic Universe logo in the introduction and all future things. He's on the left side of the N that gets appeared. And I always like paying attention to this because after Spider-Man, they removed him. He's no longer in the intro because everyone's supposed to forget about who Spider-Man is. I'd have to rewatch it. It's one of my favorite movies. But I totally just thought of that when we were talking about that.
No, you're exactly right. And you were the one that pointed it out to me, is that after No Way Home, that Spider-Man wasn't in there anymore. And then you and I were both kind of shocked at first. It didn't dawn on us, and Into the Multiverse, we were like, when Strange said something about Spider-Man, we were like, wait a minute, how the hell Spider-Man still exists. It's just, they don't know it's Peter Parker. But we do have a full show slated for tonight about different things Marvel. He just mentioned Moon Knight. What did you think about? I know we're both kind of on the same page of Moon Knight. If you haven't checked it out, folks, I can recommend you checking it out, but I'll bookend that with saying I wasn't a huge fan. David, start off with your take on it.
Well, as everybody knows with our shows, spoiler word ahead, especially this that's already come out. So Moon Knight came out. It's Marvel's and Disney's doing these 6-episode series, which we already dove into Obi-Wan that was coming out. And Moon Knight already came out. Now, I'll tell y'all what, it has a really strong start. I love it. I did not know a lot about Moon Knight, but I saw some of the comics where he had the interactions with Spider-Man, and it was a little bit comedic with the whole different personalities kind of thing. But I felt like it lost me, or it didn't really lose me, but the interest wasn't there throughout the middle of it, and then the end, the last episode was just amazing. But plot-wise and everything, for a 6-episode series that's just starting, I don't think that they showed the right things to keep people interested. I think that they went way off book for what people wanted to see. I think that they maybe were trying to do more storyline, but I don't know that because I don't know his story very well.
Right. And I guess that's what... Oh, wow. Just a second, I'll show you what somebody said. The storyline, again, I didn't know anything about Moon Knight other than just a couple of things here and there. I thought they bookended it really well. The first episode was really, really, really good. It hooked me into it. And then the last episode was really, really good. but the middle just kind of was lackluster. I don't know how much on-screen time did the actual Moon Knight have. There was a lot of character building, which I get, and you can do that, but do that when there isn't just 6 freaking episodes. Obi-Wan Kenobi, we've got all this lore. We've got 6 movies with him in it, and cartoon series with several seasons. We've got a lot of Obi-Wan Kenobi. You can come in the middle of this man's life and tell a story, but you come in and you've got this character that's been around for a while. Apparently he's been going around whooping some ass, and then all of a sudden we're just thrown into it, and we got to meet Mark, and we got to meet what was his name? But yeah, anyway, this wasn't even on our freaking list to talk about tonight.
No, not at all. But like he said, Marvel's got a lot of different things. And with that being said, I mean, there's not much to talk about. Check it out for yourselves, guys. It's on Disney if you already have it. I feel like I want to say it's worth a watch. You hear me say it all the time, and almost every episode you're probably going to hear me say it. Character development is key, and they did really well, and I love the actor and the way that he portrayed that role. However, for interesting the audience, I felt like they went the wrong way, especially because they left it with a lead to season 2. And so I'm like, if you knew that there was going to be a season 2 and you're going to be doing this, then why did you start this heavy? It just was, it kind of was boring in the middle. But
yeah, it was. And
that's,
even my wife, she said the same thing. This is kind of boring. I mean, yes, I get, the cultural references, and then you got Henrietta Hippo that comes around, and folks my age will know who Henrietta Hippo is, but and then you won't unsee the reference if you watch Moon Knight. But yeah, there was just too much character building on Moon Knight, and you had that first and that 6th episode that were just really good. If the whole production had been that level, I think we'd be seeing a whole franchise take off here. We'd be seeing mainstream movies on it, and the character would be crossing over. I mean, we've heard talk of Midnight Suns, and which. There's just so many different characters that you could put in there. Moon Knight, Ghost Rider, Wolverine. I mean, there's just, the list goes on. But how about we switch gears and actually get to the list of what we said we were going to talk about tonight?
Yeah, I believe that starts us off with a movie that is about to be released next month. Thor, Love and Thunder. Probably, I would say, the most anticipated thing on this list. There's some close seconds, but what do you think? Do you think it's the most anticipated?
Yeah, but I think that people are also trepidatious about it, because I'm hearing from all kinds of people, what the hell is this with Naomi? What's her name? Yeah, Natalie Portman getting the hammer. She's not a god. And I'm like, it's whoever beats worthy will have the power of Thor. And so somehow she is deemed worthy. And so that I have no problem with. I know it's straight from the comic books. I don't know the storyline. So I'm going to be pleasantly surprised with how she is deemed worthy. And so it'll interesting. But I'm excited for it. I love the trailer that they put out. We get to see Fat Thor again, and we're seeing a little bit of his Rocky montage of him getting ready for it. And so if I'm cutting in and out, folks, I apologize. I see that my internet connection is being hokey for some reason. So if y'all are hearing some crackling or me cutting in and out, I apologize. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I wish I'd have looked up the actual release date.
The release date is July 8th. So we're
July. Yeah, we got about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that. And I love that the Guardians are in it. It looks like we're still going to have that level of humor, but we've got the big baddie. And so it'll be interesting to see how they take this, especially because they've already revealed in the trailer where Thor goes, my days of superheroing are done. So, I guess that means that are we not going to see Hemsworth in any more Avengers movies or the Secret Wars? That just, it remains to be seen, I guess.
Now, I mean, there's a couple of things to say about that. I'm really looking forward to it. Top of my list. There's some close seconds. Thor Ragnarok's probably my favorite Marvel movie right now that is out. Chris Hemsworth does an amazing job, especially as you see the character development of Thor. There's the word again. I tell you, I say it all the time. Between like the first, second, third, now we're getting this. We get Guardians of the Galaxy, but did you know there is a clip? So just like in Spider-Man, hello there, Jester. Thank you for coming in. Hello there.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make
Hi,
you.
Amanda. Thank you for coming in. So, did you know that there is a cut of Thor and my apologies if you guys that don't know his name, the rock guy
Korg.
And then to the left, there is an empty space, just like there was in Spider-Man, where everyone knew that there was supposed to be some other place there.
Right.
They took it out for the trailer. So far from the research that I can do and what other people have suspected, I believe that the character that is there, because he also has the appearances with the Guardians of the Galaxy, which we know is going to have a part in this movie, is Star Fox, Thanos' brother. He made a short debut at the end of Eternals when he appears. So I believe that Star Fox is the one that's going to be coming because Star Fox joins the Guardians of the Galaxies for a little bit. He makes, Star-Lord a little bit jealous, Thor a little bit jealous, and we believe with the kind of comedic relief and the words and everything that he uses, like saying goodbye and everything like that, I believe Star Fox is probably the best bet that's going to be empty there. And that's just my guess, folks.
Well, I had a completely no idea that Thanos had a brother named Star Fox. And when you first said that, in my mind, I saw Star Fox from the old Nintendo video game. And so I'm seeing a little bitty fox next to Korg. And I'm like, but we already got a raccoon. Why would we want a fox? But yeah, I did not know that. But you're right. The whole internet was blowing up when No Way Home. The trailer came out and you could see Spider-Man up top, but several of the baddies were below him. And so everybody was like, it looks like there's other spots. And so, but yeah, it looks the same on this. I could see it going either way. Marvel has been known here lately to, let some cats out of the bag, not leaving anything to the imagination, not leaving anything to be discovered within the movie.
With that being said, because I know that this gets lost and they always have a bunch of Easter eggs in these movies and people may not know, let me share and show y'all the comic and the actor that was portrayed at the end of Eternal so y'all know who I'm talking about. I'm going to grab...
Oh, so that's Star Fox that shows up at the end of Eternals?
Yeah, so right here, is everybody seeing my screen?
No, they are now.
Okay. So on the right is the actor who portrays Star Fox, which is Thanos' brother at the end of Eternals. And the left is the comic book view of him. So I just wanted to show y'all real quick because putting a face to that name will probably help a lot of y'all.
Right. It did me. And then look, you can see he's got a little bit of the red sleeves. He's got the golden shoulder plates, the necklace or the collar. But yeah, I was wondering who the heck that was. I didn't realize it was Thanos' brother.
Yeah, the actor is Harry Styles, which I also believe is an artist for songs. I could be wrong.
I hear or I see it on Twitter all the time about Henry Styles.
But back to our original. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Nothing. I was going to say I couldn't tell you what the heck he does, but go ahead.
Back to Thor. Like you were saying about Jane Foster wielding Mjolnir, Natalie Portman. I knew that there's always been a Lady Thor, and I haven't followed the lore or anything like that. And I'm totally fine with the idea of having that. However, I'm excited, and it could be really well. I just don't know about that character getting it. Because when we saw her in the first two movies, she's this nerdy, geeky person.
scientist.
And yeah, and you know, she was cool for that role and everything, and then she was unexplainingly gone. They kind of made jokes about Thor like really missing her and everything, but she just doesn't give me the idea that she's worthy. She's smart, she's nice, and yes, probably a hero or something, but we're talking about God worthy. So I don't know. It just feels really like a cheap writer's thing. Like, oh, people know who this is, and people like Natalie Portman. We'll just bring her in and give her the hammer, and then just. So I kind of feel like it's a cop out. We'll see. They could have an amazing plot and everything that really ties it in well and makes sense. And I have nothing against the actress or that role. I really wanted to see the female Thor, but I always would have thought that it was otherworldly. You know, Thor is going to be running across, he's going to see his hammer or this chick or something, and he's going to be like, you remind me of something, that kind of comedic one. But we already saw in the trailer where he's like, she's like, what has it been, 3 years? And he's like, 8 years, 57 days, this many hours or something. And I'm just kind of like, I know Thor's going through this whole battle with himself and becoming his own, but like, I am not really wanting to see him this like, oh, I'm so never over you. And it just feels a little bit too much. However, once again, the top of my list of things that I really want to see, I think that they're going to do a great job. However, I do have my little bits that I'm holding on to, like, I'm not sure. I mean, what do you think? I mean, I'm not saying she's a bad actress. I just don't know if her character coming back into this makes sense.
Right. And no, I don't think, unless they do a really good job of it in this movie, there hasn't been this over arc of her story character that shows her to be this tough person. You know, she was lovesick in the first Thor. Second Thor, she's still her scientist self. And we have not seen any character development that would lead me to believe that, you know, she's going to have those guns that she has now. And I mean, yeah, I get it. It's 8 years later. I assume that we're going to see some kind of backstory on what the hell she's been doing the last 8 years. You know, especially because, you know, being a scientist and being able to find the Rosenberg Bridge or the, I forget the other word, but finding that bridge and finding Thor, that was a lot of that was, you know, brains, not God, you know, godlike. So anyway, it'll be interesting to see how they develop that character.
Yeah, definitely. And Marvel is pretty much leading in cinematic like storytelling. But I gotta say, watching movies, sometimes they completely miss the mark on telling a backstory in a short amount of time, or they nail it. And so I'm curious to see which direction this is going to go, because either we're not going to get enough and it's going to feel really cheated, that they're going to be like, oh yeah, she did this real quick, discovered, thought it was Mjolnir, and then just it's either going to be just like, you know, bad writing, or it's going to be like, oh, that totally makes sense, and I have no reservations on which way it's going to go. But we also have another one that's coming out really. To me, it's really soon. Is August 17th, She-Hulk.
Now, this one I'm looking forward to because Mark Renfro is going to be in it as David Banner. I just really aged myself there if you know who David Banner is. But Bruce Banner. And so I'm excited about that. It looks like they're taking more of a comedic approach to this. I don't know if that's the character itself. The only thing I know about She-Hulk is that it's a female Hulk. She's his cousin, and I believe she's a lawyer. I think that's what I know.
What I'm kind of excited to see, we'll see the direction that it goes, is it appears that we're seeing more of what I theorized in Endgame, Professor Hulk, because we saw him, and I believe because we don't have the full-on raging Hulk that's humongous and everything and doesn't have brain power. He was, you know, Mark Ruffalo played just enough Hulk, but smart enough. Like, I just believed it to be Professor Hulk, and we're seeing that same one here which I am very excited to see if they can bring more of that in, because that's the dynamic we needed for Hulk, because he's got so much potential other than just this raging monster that transforms and smashes things, which is great. I mean, I got nothing wrong with that.
But saying, I think that's one of the reasons why I'm just not really looking forward to She-Hulk, is because I wanted to see the Mark Ruffalo Hulk movie. You know, I know but over so many movies, he got so much screen time that it added up to his own movie. But I want to see, you know, a good Hulk movie done. I mean, not a great Hulk movie done. Both the other Hulk movies have a place in my library, and I do watch them on occasion. They're not the best in the world, but it's a Hulk movie. You know,
you've got some ink to show it.
Yeah, but I'm not showing that on the air.
Yeah, no, I mean, it seems like it's going to be more of I kind of want to compare it to Shazam, more of a goofy, comedic, big star kind of.
Right.
And that's the way I'm going to like it. I just don't think that it's going to be important to the cohesiveness of this phase that Marvel's doing. Because I don't know. I don't really foresee that being a really big. I think it's like a filler kind of thing.
And is it a 6 episode?
No, it's a movie.
It's a movie? You sure about that?
Let me double check here. No. I guess no. You're right. No, because the first episode is August 17th.
Right.
I don't know what I have that confused with. I guess the trailer just made me think that it was a movie. I mean, it's Marvel. Come on, guys. Like, all of their shows and stuff is like production value of a movie. So
now, I wanted to ask something a minute ago when we were talking about Thor. Does it feel to you like there's not the cohesive stage that we had with Avengers? I mean, we had the Avenger movies. You know, we set out with the origin stories, and then they would kind of overlap, but most of the time it was standalone stories. An Iron Man movie had Iron Man, a Thor movie had Thor, but it still tied them together. We knew from the end credit scenes that, you know, there was a story coming. And right now, I mean, we know Secret Wars is coming, but I'm just not seeing that cohesiveness, in my opinion, that we have seen in the past years with Marvel.
Well, you got to remember, I think we're just now getting the running start since Endgame. So think of it as like we're starting over with Iron Man. Like, you didn't see cohesiveness because we're just starting this build. Because it's not like we're doing a bunch of Captain America, Iron Mans, like that time's gone, and we're starting over. So I don't think we've gotten far enough to really get into that. But I think that they're doing fine, because obviously Thor, I think, is the running star. You've got a lot. Guardians of the Galaxy, if I'm right, Star Fox, which is going to lead into probably the Eternals, you know, that has Thor in it. So I think it's going to, I mean, especially with She-Hulk is going to have Mark Ruffalo as Hulk in it. And then we've got a bunch of these other ones, like Guardians 3 is coming out, which we'll talk about later. But so this has got to lead into that, and that's probably going to, another thing. If Star Fox is a little bit in this one, it's probably more in Guardians 3, which is more probably into Eternals. Like, that's my theory for the projection of this, but I'm not holding against them. I think it's just like we're starting over with Iron Man again, and we're going to see the cohesive coming later.
So was Eternals Iron Man? You know, do you want to put them in the same?
I guess, no, they are in the same, because obviously it's important. They're introducing Star Fox. They're going to the galaxy. Like, they're leaving it open-ended at the end. And I believe at the end it says the Eternals will return. I
believe so.
Yeah, I could see that as Iron Man. Like, it's just one group. You're starting this. It's not as big of a character as Iron Man, but as far as movies go, I think that probably started it, because we saw Star Fox. If he is in this one, this is where we're starting to connect the dots. And this one could be like Captain America or something that has more cameos and stuff.
But let me ask you this: is Star Fox a big enough character to have had him CGI removed from the trailer?
Yeah, definitely.
You think so?
Not that he's as big as Captain America or anybody in the sense of like everybody knows him, but he's important enough to tie the stuff together. Because we there's still Blade we saw in Eternals as well or something, and I don't think they're going for big blown out, like we know it's
Where the
more
hell
of
was Blade in Eternals?
no, not the character, but I'm talking about they had that scene where the guy pulls the blade and it's the Black Knight or something.
Oh yeah, but I thought you were talking
talking
about Blade the Vampire Hunter. I was like, what the hell?
My bad. I didn't mean to confuse you. But no, he is, because I feel like he's perfectly what's needed, because they don't want to give everything away, and they want, because that I bet you he's not big enough in the movie to make a difference, but he's the puzzle piece that's going to connect it to the Eternals or Guardians, and the Guardians is going to be to Eternals or something. And if they show it now, then too much talk and hype. And so I think Marvel's reeling it back because they want all that talk to come after the movie, because all that hype projects them into their next, like their media presence and everything. So like, I don't think that they want that coming out so early. So I don't think it's a big known character, but I think it's key that they do that to kind of control how they're pushing stuff out. If that makes
I got you. I just, thinking they went through the trouble with Spider-Man because they were trying to keep that under wraps, and then it still, leaked out.
They were like, no, all 3 Spider-Mans is gonna be in this.
Yeah, and Tom Holland actually kept it secret. He didn't blurt it out, at least. I heard what he did to the girl in Miss Marvel, though. I apologize, I don't know her name. He went up to her and he asked her. He said, "How's it like working on Miss Marvel?" And she said something, and she said, "How's it like working on Spider-Man?" And he showed her a picture, and it was him and Tom Holland. Or not Tom Holland. The first Spider-Man.
Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, Tobey Maguire. And she's like, I could have waited for the movie to find this out. I mean, I guess we're both in the Marvel family now, but you didn't have to show me that. And so he did spoil it. He did throw out a spoiler for one person, but they were under NDA not to tell us that it had been spoiled.
Are you talking about Camilla Khan?
Yes, thank you.
Whatever the actress's name is that plays Camilla Khan, I just didn't know if it was somebody else. But yeah, no, I've seen she's been big social media presence with being excited to play this role, because I think in her life, just as Tom Holland fantasized being Miss Marvel as a kid, and now they're getting to play it, which is great, and I love that they're doing that, especially because you get a lot more from your actors when they really get into it. And it's the same with writers and stuff. It's really frustrating seeing a movie coming out where you could tell the writers didn't know shit
about the character.
Yeah, and it's like, that's not what we needed to see on the screen. They were like, movie and what's interesting, and then that sometimes that stuff just ruins the movie because that's not what the character's about. So, but enough with that. After She-Hulk, I know Black Panther, long awaited.
We were just talking about Miss Marvel, and that's kind of on the list. Let's knock it out, and then we can move into Black Panther.
Yeah,
because Miss Marvel, I've seen the first episode. I haven't seen the second one. You haven't seen either of them. The character from the game. Am I correct?
Yeah, the Avengers game on Xbox Game Pass. If you want to check it out, guys. If it's free for you, maybe go ahead. But I wasn't a fan of the game.
And the character, to me, I not knowing jack crap about the character, the first episode was fun. I was telling David, they kind of do the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse thing where they got the comic book stuff kind of going in the background with a storyline. And I enjoyed it. And just a second. I don't know if that came over the speakers or not. Alexa was reminding me of something, but anyway, um, so I enjoyed it. The one thing that got to me on social media was before I even watched the first episode, people were all up in arms saying that they had made the first Muslim superhero gay on the show. And I was like, okay. So I go in where how the hell anyone got that this character is gay out of this one episode is beyond me. I think people just get pissed off because they want to be pissed off. But what did you not like about the character in the game?
Well, okay, so it's not that I dislike. I don't know really how to put it, but when I bought the Avengers game, I was expecting more of the Avengers, and you play this girl, which was my first time being introduced to Camilla Khan, Miss Marvel, who her powers in the game, she could stretch her hand really big and like do fists and pushing and stuff. And at first, that did kind of push me away because I'm like, this is Avengers. Like, I wanted to circle through and play the Avengers, which you get a little bit of, but I just really didn't feel it. And I just felt it was really weird because you have Miss Marvel, there's Captain Marvel that's in there, and you had that whole mix up with Captain Marvel from DC, which was reworded as Shazam. And I felt like it's just really weird to try to put a character that big when they were literally like, I'm a fan of Captain Marvel, and then name themselves after Captain Marvel as Miss Marvel, and she could stretch her hands. That whole idea is off-putting to me, not necessarily the character or anything. And maybe she's an amazing actor and everything, but just like,
Well, see, the thing is in the show, it seems like she uses the big hand. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she uses the big hand once, but it shows her with some other powers or potential powers.
now that was something that I read briefly about, and I don't know at all about it, but somebody was saying that the show is introducing newer powers than what has been existed for her. I'm guessing they are referencing comics or something, but apparently the show's giving her more to her, which could be great. And I'm glad that you're seeing it so that I can hear about it. But it's just not as exciting as the other things that I'm trying to catch up to. But I mean, I do have Disney, so it'd probably be worth checking out when I have time.
Yeah, it's if you got 45 minutes to burn, I'd say check it out. I'm definitely going to watch the next one. Hopefully it isn't like Moon Knight and loses me in the middle. But I'll stick with it. I'll see how it checks out. But up next was Black Panther, and I'm not going to try to rush the show, but I can see my battery draining really quick here. But Black Panther. Now, what do you want to say about it? Because I got a couple of things I want to say.
Well, I know there's November 11th that it should be coming out. It's long waited and anticipated. I want to go ahead and say RIP to Chad Boswick. Chadman Boswick? Or Chadwick Boseman. Okay.
Yeah.
So sorry. He was a great actor. I loved that he got the chance to play Black Panther and even got to do some of the extended voiceovers in the What If series.
Right.
But I don't know too much. I think something about the sister and becoming more of like Wakanda. I'm really excited for it, but don't know anything about it.
Yeah. See, same here, but I'm kind of two minds on this because I kind of think that they should have just ended Black Panther. They should have, did some kind of storyline that somebody screwed him up. Somebody got to, I can't think of the character's name now, but they got to him and killed him somehow.
T'Challa.
Yeah, T'Challa. Thank you. And so I think, or that he died of natural causes, kind of give a nod to, even superheroes can die from cancer, something to that effect. I'm half of mind of that it should have ended with him, at least for now. Reboot the character in 6 years or so. Sure, I'm all for that. Start him out with a new character. But and you can say that it's a tribute to him to continue it on with the same characters and stuff, and I can kind of see that, and I am excited to see where they're going with this. But just my gut feeling is I think it should have ended with him for now.
Yeah, I mean, I could see the dying direction, but I think overall, I probably would see Marvel doing more of like Fast and the Furious did. Like they're aside, he's still alive, but they're doing their own thing because Wakanda still exists. They still have the technology, and
but is that what they're going to do? Is T'Challa just off on an adventure, or is he dead?
I'm sure they're probably going to kill it, but like if we didn't do another movie, if he was ever referenced or anything, I'm sure he would just be like, oh, because you got to think, even if they did say he died, the Black Panther passes on. It's a thing in Wakanda. So if they killed him off, then it would force another Black Panther out. But if we just said he was off something, it wouldn't introduce a new movie. Like he's just doing his own thing.
Yeah, but boy, could you imagine just somebody kills T'Challa off and Bucky gets word of it, and that just sends us off into a whole new Winter Soldier series?
Yeah, I mean, we probably won't, but I would have loved a main Winter Soldier series. Falcon and the Winter Soldier was great, but focusing on Winter Soldier, there's so much of a story to be told, and the thing is like he's half superhero, half not. He's bionic, and he's got a little bit of the serum in him, but he's also still gives you the feeling of like he's a military strongman, which I've always liked. Batman, Iron Man, where they use stuff to their advantage, and that could have been a really good story by itself, like series and everything. But yeah,
I would have to look it up. I know at one point, man, I had his name just a second ago, the actor, but I know he was signed on to do quite a few movies as Bucky Barnes. And if I'm not mistaken, there was something after Falcon and Winter Soldier. It may be the new Captain America movie, which of course we know we have Falcon as, but we'll just have to wait and see. I'll look it up. You can always look up what they have actually signed on for, or what's public record anywhere, or what they want out there, I should say, because they can manage their own IMDb profiles. But what was
that we talked about it previously a little bit, and that's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. This is easily my second most anticipated one that I'm really wanting to see. I am curious if that is going to happen after they drop Thor off, if it's a little bit with, or if it's the whole time with them. My guess is they're probably going to try to do it as the time after. I think that he's leaving. Star Fox is going to be walking aboard. Guardians and Star Fox is going to go do something. And at the end of the movie, it's going to introduce the Eternals. And then we're going to move into that direction on what they're wanting to do with that. But I don't know. But I'm really excited to see the Guardians come back, because is James Gunn doing the third one as well?
Yeah. They brought him back.
He's just phenomenal. Like there's just, like he's nailing it with these, and it's exactly the energy that I'm wanting in this. Even though it's different from the Guardians of the Galaxy comics, and even the introduction in the Spider-Man series, they had Guardians introduced. But I'm loving this cinematic one that they're bringing to today's audience. So I think it's one of those examples where they perfectly balance changing the characters to today's standards without getting rid of them. Like Gamora is a totally different type, but it perfectly fits for what she's needed for today's audience and everything. And that's what I love to see Well, I mean, what about you? I said a lot about the Guardians, but because I
Yeah.
played the game, I tried to get you to buy it, or did you get it?
No, I bought it and then I played it for all of 5 minutes and put it down. I need to try it out again. It's sitting right over there. Um, I'm looking forward to it. I immensely enjoyed the first two. You made me smile a minute ago. You mentioned Spider-Man and Guardians. One of my favorite scenes from the movies is when Spider-Man runs across the bug lady and he goes, "Please don't eat me! Please don't eat me! Please don't eat me!"
Oh yeah, that's
But
because it's
yeah,
what was in Spider-Man. They're like, how many bug-themed superheroes do we have?
right, right. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. I do like what James Gunn did with the first two. I knew jack shit about those characters when the first movie came out. I couldn't have told you who Star Lord was compared to, Joe Blow down the street. I just didn't know. I knew the name. I knew Guardians of the Galaxy. But when I was into comic books, man, you got to understand this was in the 90s and there was like 9,000 different really good comic books. And you can, unless you're, independently wealthy, you can only afford so much. And I would have to trim down, man, because I'd have, there was like 4 different Batman titles. There was Shadow of the Bat, Detective Comics, um, just Batman, and then there was Shadow of the Bat, and which was an Elseworlds darker kind of tale. And these were series. Well, those are of course have to haves. Those were have to. And then there was Wolverine and X-Men. You got to have those. But then I would get into these independents, and before I'd know it, man, every week I'm spending $50 on freaking comic books. $200 a month. And not only does it get expensive, it gets room consuming. You freaking end up with these big long boxes full of comic books. And yes, just like my movies, I would go back and read them. But yeah, so I didn't know anything about them.
What you were talking about with Star-Lord, did you know that he wasn't like the original character in the Guardians that like kind of led the group and everything? He was like,
I just said I didn't know nothing about the character.
yeah. Well, I just was gonna say, because you say that, and I think a lot of people are thinking like, oh, he's probably the main one because he's the leader and he's well known or whatnot. But it was actually Nova that, not necessarily the leader, but was a big character for Guardians of the Galaxy, and he didn't appear at all. Which, when the first movie was coming out, was something that was really big and controversial because they're like, we're missing some of the main people that we know from the comic books. But for people like us who didn't know it very well, and I learned over the years, it worked really well, and I loved it.
So is who they're always? Is it the Nova Corps? Isn't that Isn't that someone that's after the Guardians at one point?
It doesn't have Nova doesn't have to do with the Nova Corps as far as I can tell. Nova was also introduced, other than the comics, in the Spider-Man series of the Guardians, which is what it was making me think of. It was Spider-Man. Nova was kind of like this kid or whatnot, and he had these powers of just like kind of like Captain Marvel in a sense.
Yeah, I know the character. I was thinking he was with Iron Fist in the comic books at some point, but that's Power Man, and which was Luke Cage. Cage and Iron Fist were together, I do believe, at some point. But anyway,
but Drax and Gamora was in it and all that, and so like, yeah. As far as Guardians 3, I'm really excited, especially because he's done amazing on the soundtracks. He's done amazing on the character development. We're getting, hopefully we're getting a little bit more of Star-Lord that we see from the first one. The second one, we kind of lost a little bit of the Star-Lord that I liked. Great comedic and everything, but I feel like it was a little bit too much pity Star-Lord and not like, oh my, he is a power. Like, he can be really good, and like sometimes he's like, no, guys, listen, we got to do this. And that leads into the next thing. I mean, before the next topic is the game. Guys, there's going to be a section where we talk more about the games. And I played the Guardians of the Galaxy. I loved it. I highly recommend it. It's on Xbox Game Pass, but it is the kind of game that has a lot of commentary. So for me, it was a perfect mixture of storytelling and action. But if you don't like the storytelling part, then it's not the game for you because you have options and choices. For instance, one of my
So
favorite
choose your own
parts,
adventure.
yeah, and Drax is like, how are we supposed to cross this place? And Rocket says something, and someone else, and Drax goes, we'll just throw the rodent. And he goes, Rocket's like, you will not throw the rodent. And then they look at you as Star-Lord, and you get to make the decision, do you throw him or not? And if you don't, he's like, thank you, Quill, I won't forget this or something. Or if you do, then you start this animosity between Rocket and Star-Lord.
Doesn't he open fire on everybody?
He does, but there's so much more it changes in the story. And I love it because I love the movies and I love listening to that interaction. You get the fighting. Not the best fighting game, but overall, I loved it. And especially if you can play it for free, it's definitely better than Avengers. I'll tell you that. I was not a fan of Avengers.
Now, are you disappointed that going in knowing that this is Batista's last movie, so we're losing Drax? So that, is he going to just go back to his home planet, or is he going to be killed? And what's this going to do for Guardians? Are we just going to get another character for Guardians 4? Will there be a Guardians 4, or will they fraction off?
I didn't know Drax was getting, I didn't know Dave Bautista said it was his last one. So that came to a surprise to me. I could see it being his last one. As far as killing him off.
Now he didn't say.
Maybe if he sacrifices himself.
Right.
I could see that doing something like in Guardians 2 where he's like running up and he goes with his daggers, and I could see something going out. Like he's slowly getting more into the group where he's a little bit more human rather than like no words go over my head. I'm too fast. I will catch it. And so then he goes, don't worry, guys. I'll do this. Like he's trying to get more sentimental than I could see him going away. As far as I don't see him stepping away from the Guardians. Man, his family was killed. Like this was his next family. Like I don't see him having another,
and
unless
of course,
they tie it into the game. Which in the game, there's a Beastmaster that he really admires, and I could see him leaving the Guardians to be with this woman that's a Beastmaster and all that.
But as we learned with Hugh Jackman, time after time, and Patrick Stewart saying they were done with those characters. Just saying you're done with a character in the Marvel Universe doesn't mean you are. Disney has those deep motherfucking pockets. and as we all know, money talks. If you flash enough dollar bills, I'm sure Dave Bautista will be happy to go shirtless one more time.
Now, after Guardians, we have Ant-Man and the Wasp, which is the beginning. I think it's February 17th of 2023. And I liked it. That, once again, is kind of a Shazam kind of feel. It is, but a little bit more serious than Shazam. But, I loved it because you have that dynamic that was introduced in the first one between the girl and Ant-Man, and then the second one where you get the duo of Ant-Man and the Wasp. And you never really got, at the end of the second one where he went into the quantum realm. And then, of course, he comes out in Endgame, and we didn't get too much of that. So I'm kind of curious to see what they've got. And I think it's going to be great. It's going to be comedic. I don't have, high expectations or any direction for it to go. So I think I'm open, and it's just going to be a good, funny one, what's Paul Rudd. He has been doing an amazing job.
And I like the chemistry between him and Evangeline Lilly. I'm pretty sure I got the actress's name right. But I like that chemistry between them. I like both of the characters. One's not superior to the other. They interact well together. I'm looking forward to it. I've had kind of the hots for Evangeline Lilly since Lost, and so and it looks like David had to run away, and so I am on my own, in which that could be dangerous, as anybody from previous podcasts know. But for the Ant-Man and the Wasp, it's the quantum. What is it? Quantum verse of what is it, David? Quantum.
Quantumanium.
Yeah, Quantumanium. I was thinking quantum verse of madness, and I'm like, no. And we don't know a whole lot about it. I think it's going to tie into the multiverse of madness, of course. We're getting big time. Spider-Man covered the multiverse. Doctor Strange covered the multiverse. There's still a lot that is unsettled between all of this.
I actually don't think that it's going to have to do with the multiverse. My theory is I'm thinking that it's going to give us a little bit of closure what happened after the second one leading into Endgame, and then I think that it's going to show us a adverse reaction to something else in this next phase. But I think we're done with the multiverse because I think that they don't want to lose or get stuck too much. Like, we're getting in that section where it's really important for us to start getting this together, like you were talking about, the cohesiveness. Just like how if Star Fox from the Eternals is going to be appearing in Thor Love and Thunder, which is going to be with Guardians, which may lead into the Eternals, this is probably going to lead with something else. Like, say that was one branch, and then I think this one is going to be starting another branch, which may have some other ones, and then they'll eventually lead for that big one, just like the Infinity Saga, like if it's Galactus or something. But I don't think that we're going to be rehashing because we already went over so much between Spider-Man, Doctor Strange. We saw just there's so much about that. I think we're done. You could be right, but I think that they're probably going to be going a different direction. Like, they're going to give us closure. They're going to talk about it, and then we're going to get a hint at the post credits or something about how that had an adverse reaction, causing a different section in the phase to move on, or maybe another character.
Right, and you're more than likely right, because you brought up a good point that we kind of covered the multiverse too much, and talking about the tree and it coming back together, I was kind of wondering how much time do we have before Secret Wars, and it looks like that it's not coming until either late 2024 or not even till 2025. So we've got 3 years and quite a few movies before then, so there's no telling where this is going. And don't get me wrong, I'm not doubting Marvel. I just right now I don't feel that cohesiveness of like what we had Nick Fury going and starting to bring everyone together, and we knew the Avengers initiative was started, so we knew that was coming. And right now we've got so much that's on Disney Plus, and then we've got these little just one-off kind of movies coming. And then you got Thor and Guardians of the Galaxy, which can kind of feel like those are wrapping up loose ends from the original phase, and it doesn't even have anything to do with the new stuff that we've got going on. And so it'll just be interesting to see what they do over the next couple of years.
Man, that just made me think about how what you're saying. I think what's giving us that feeling is we're getting so much of these oddities that people are not aware of, they've not heard of, they're not big. But last phase, it was all things people knew. You talk to a group of people, someone's going to know any of the characters from the first one. But the second one, it's filled with stuff we don't know, which may be why we're not feeling that cohesiveness yet. But yeah, I could totally get where you're coming from, but I think maybe it's starting there because we're getting a bunch of oddballs that we don't know much about. I think you have to look way harder than before. Before, I think they made it way more obvious, where it's just like Avengers, Nick Fury, like the ones that you knew. But now it's like, oh, remember at the end of Eternals, and then there's this one, and he's CG'd out for the trailer, and then he has to do with the Guardians. Like, you have to know more about the comic books and try to piece together these. But maybe it'll come easier. Like once the first movies are all out and they start making second ones, like if they make a second, whatever else, then we'll already kind of have an established link and you'll start seeing the cohesive better. But with that being said, we don't have much time, but I did want to talk about how Fantastic Four, once again, spoilers, guys. Fantastic Four is supposed to be getting another movie, and we see the Richard Reed come into Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness, which is played by the one and only John Krasinski, which everyone has been asking to play Richard Reed. He does a good job, and I can't wait to see. And in fact, I think it's Emily something. I think it's his wife, and is actually playing his wife in Fantastic Four, the Invisible Woman. And and then I don't know who's going to play, but we need a good Fantastic Four. The last one to me sucked. The other
I didn't even watch it.
Just like iffy.
I didn't even see. I did not see the newest one just because of word of mouth. I should sit down and watch it. Hell, I watched the very original Fantastic Four movie, which was never officially released, but Ben looked like he was wearing giant styrofoam blocks, and it was the worst thing. They were trying, whatever film company, it might have been Fox at the time, they were about to lose the rights, and so they threw this movie together real quick, because then once you do the property, it extends the rights on it for so long, at least according to the contract. And so I should give this a watch. I enjoyed the first one with what's her name, and Michael Chiklis. I enjoyed the first one. Second one was okay. I just wasn't a big fan of Jessica Alba as Invisible Woman. Reed was okay to me. I thought Dr. Doom was good. I just think the storyline was pretty lacking in that one. And so you're right. We definitely need a good Fantastic Four movie. Krasinski getting a cast, I don't know if that was just full 100%, fan driven, just kind of like releasing the Snyder cut of Justice League was. But I did enjoy what little time we got with him, and he looked good stretched out. Didn't look so good after Wanda was done with him. I won't say what happened in case there's somebody out there that hasn't seen Doctor Strange yet. But yeah, I did enjoy it. As we get more news, of course, folks, we'll share it down the line. I'm sure we'll start hearing bits and pieces. We don't know who is playing Ben Grimm yet. We don't know a lot about it yet. So as there's more news, we'll share it.
Yeah, there's also there's little bits that we haven't heard too much. Deadpool 3 is supposed to be in the making, and they're Disney and Marvel, who has now officially tied Deadpool and is saying that they are keeping it rated R. We're supposed to see more of Domino and Cable. And I'm really interested. Oh, and then I think they also said that they're finally bringing more of the X-Men into it.
See, that's what I was wondering. But you got to wonder too, is that going to be a rebooted X-Men, or because he's already made comments about it, McAvoy or Stewart, when it was talking about Professor X. We saw the new gen, or the first class at one point in Deadpool 2 when he's in the mansion. And so is it going to be, are we going to continue on with that, or are they going to bring back the originals, the ones that are most popular?
James McAvoy has got so much potential. He's an amazing actor, and that's it. I can't think of anybody else. They need to put him in it. It's just he did so well. He's already established. But then again, I'm biased, man. James McAvoy has always done such a great job on everything I've seen with him in it.
Yeah, that's true. But Patrick Stewart is the epitome of Professor X.
But he's already done so much, and then there's Logan and everything. So I think that's about it now. Plus, if you think about the time frame that Deadpool is in, where he gets Colossus and everybody, that would be more James McAvoy's time.
Right. And and of course they can make him look a little older, because he's supposed to be young back in the 40s, or the 60s, excuse me, during the Cuban Missile Crisis. And so, he'd be, 50 years older. And so he's going to be like pushing 80. I'm kind of the opinion that they may need a whole new, at least outside of Deadpool, they're going to need a whole new cast. What I would like to see is I would really like to see that actress Laura from Logan to become X-23 or to become Wolverine for a while. Us have that female Wolverine.
I could see that, and that has potential, especially because you're making these little side movies and stuff that make. I could definitely, especially because so many people love Wolverine. Why not take it over to X-23 a little bit, and then do that? Like even introduce it, like test the waters when there's Deadpool and throw X-23 in it for just a little bit as a cameo, test the waters.
Right, and you could have. I mean, imagine Deadpool coming across her. What the ass? She's in the yellow costume. She's popping the claws because he's always making comments about Logan and Hugh Jackman, and so having a female version of Wolverine come in, I could just see that being a really good comedic opportunity. But we need to, we're at the top of the hour. That ain't the reason we need to cut it short. My warning light just came on for the battery, as I knew it would. But we made it the whole show. There was a couple of things we wanted to cover. We can save the, well, are they the short things that we can run through, or was there longer topics?
I mean, I don't have much to talk about it. Echo is getting her own series, which is the deaf chick from Hawkeye, which is the enemy. And so she's getting her own series, which, man, I'm not really excited about it. I don't know too much or I'll watch it. I mean, I don't have pros or cons. It's just like, it's not anticipated for me.
Right.
So I don't have anything to talk about. There's also the season of Loki 2, which the Loki one was awesome. And I can't wait for it, but there's no information on it. So.
But it is out for sure. I mean, I know that they're on IMDb. They changed it from, just one season of 2022 or 2021. And then now it says 2 seasons on there. But has it been officially announced that there is going to be a season 2?
Multiple sources that I've gone through have it officially out there. But I haven't seen it on like IMDb, Disney or anything like that. But a lot of people have it everywhere talking about their thought process for season 2. So it seems like somebody somewhere has the inside peek on that.
Right. I'm just taking a look real quick at Tom Hiddleston's IMDb.
Couldn't ask for a better Loki, though. I mean,
no, not at all.
And speaking of Loki, that Loki tattoo on the back of Thor in Thor: Love and Thunder, can't wait to see more of it.
Right. Same here. And it's not on Tom Hiddleston's IMDb yet. But, of course, we all know that doesn't mean jack shit because they'll put it on there when they're ready. But I think that's going to do it for us tonight, folks. David, was there anything else you wanted to cover?
No, guys, please tune in next week. We're always going to be talking about relevant geek things and things that are on our mind. Once again, I'd like to thank Geek Insider for producing this. And guys, this comes out on Spotify, usually within the next 24 hours on all the major podcasting platforms. So
wait, there was a problem or has been a problem with the major platforms, and I had noticed that we weren't appearing as I thought we should be. That is being fixed. So if you've been looking for us as far as on iHeartRadio or Apple Music or Amazon, that's the reason that the latest episodes aren't uploaded. There was a hitch in the giddy up, but it will be on there as of this week. But as David was saying, generally they're up within 24 hours. And so you can catch us usually by Wednesday morning on your drive to work. And I just want to say, folks, thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure you tell your friends and family about this. Share it with them on your Facebook. We need more subscribers. Hit that like button. Make comments below. We're so close to our initial goal of 1,000 subscribers. We're closing in on it slowly but surely. And I just want to end real quick, just saying you've been listening to Into the Geekverse. Of course, this is a Geek Insider production. Subscribe to the Geek Insider podcast on your favorite listening app or join us live on YouTube and Facebook every Sunday night at 9 p.m. Central. Visit geekinsider.com for tons of great geek content and be sure to sign up for the newsletter. We also have advertising opportunities for the website, newsletter, and podcast. And for more information, contact advertising at geekinsider.com. As always, this show is dedicated to our cohort and friend, Meredith Logren. Meredith, I love you, girl. Rest in peace. We'll see you next week, folks, and you better be there, or we might just have to revoke your geek card. Have a great week, everyone.